As you can see, I have the word magic spelled differently. I remember when one of the designers of content in Udemy sent me a message about the spelling of magic. Hey, he said, you spelled the word magic wrong. So make sure you put it right for your course. I couldn't avoid us to chuckle because magic with a C and magic, like it's pronounced, is different. Magic with a K is the weekend magic. Magic has many definitions, of course, including causing changes to happen in conformity with will, the art of changing consciousness at will, and using psychic energies to transform oneself and one's environment. In each case, knowing your true will and applying energy to that goal is the basics of magic. Witches have adapted the shamanic practices of our ancestors and the forms of ceremonial magic and its correspondences because they work. Witchcraft is a very practical practice. If something works, we use it again to achieve the same result. If it doesn't work, we try something else. Not everything works the same for everyone. Magic is a huge and complex subject that could take lifetimes to explore, and what follows is a very brief overview. For those who want to know more that can be included here, please check books that have the title True Magic or Ritual Craft. The uses of magic. Few people either seem to know what it's for, or most muggles don't believe that it exists. In the movies and fantasy novels, magic is either a way to accomplish totally trivial tasks like washing dishes and changing costumes, or is used to curse people and battle hordes of malicious wizards and monsters. The real magic is not a way to avoid doing chores, and very few people are attacked by sorcerers' enemies or mythical beasts. There are two great branches of the art magical. One is thaumaturgy, and the other one is theurgy, or theurgy. The first is sometimes called low magic or practical magic, and includes workings for health and healing, prosperity, safe travel, finding jobs, and protecting your home and such. While magic can help in all these areas, they can all be handled by mundane means as well. Well, are you sick? Get some rest and drink plenty of fluids. Your house doesn't feel safe? Install a new lock set and deadbolt. Magic is not a replacement for common sense measures. It's just a powerful booster. The other branch of magic, called theurgy, is not nearly as simple. This is magic for spiritual growth and self-transformation, what the alchemists called the great work, which is perfecting oneself. Theurgy helps you expand your consciousness, balance the elements within, illuminate your shadow, create the sacred marriage of your masculine and feminine principles, and live a great potential of your humanity in your divine self. So what is the power behind magic? Where does magic power come from? Fictional magic always seems to have a ring of power forged by dwarfs under a mountain, or some invincible sword, or a ring. But where will such an artifact get all that energy and that juice? The power is not just in the thing. The power is in all around us. We live in a sea of energy and can tap at it at any time. Think of all the forms of radiation invisible sleeting through you right now. Think of the light and heat of the sun, the great movements of winds and tides. the constant pull of gravity, the momentum of planets in the orbits. Think of matter, which is at its core energy. It is power that, if we can concentrate by simple means, like breathing or singing or playing drums, and then can be sent to goal by thoughts, images, words, and actions. Focused intention is the key to effective magic. Most people swim in power or flounder without even knowing it. They dribble their power away in thoughtless words, unfocused whims, and mindless behaviors, and they accomplish little. We just know that every word has power, and so does every thought, emotion, and movement. We just know how to make choices to desire, to focus, and to achieve. That is magic. Now we talk about the uses of magic or styles of magic. The kitchen witch does practical magic that concern with daily life and often uses household tools to do spell work. Her magic might be aimed at cooking healthful and tasty meals, protecting her home, or helping children fall asleep at bedtime. The nature magician works outdoors, uses the energies of the sun and wind, and works with animal allies or plant devas, using a stick or rod as tools. The shamanic magician works with nature, but also ventures more deeply into the spirit realms through journeys, trace work, shape-shifting, and the like. Drums and rattles are her tools. The ritualistic does ritual with a form outline as particular times or seasons. This describes what most covens do. The ceremonial magician takes ritual to a deeper and more complex level. He is known for costumes, ritual tools, symbolism, and correspondences. The intrinsic or inner magician works only with her mind and body, using will and imagination to manipulate energy. It looks more like simple chanting, yoga, or silent meditation than magic. So what is a spell or spellcraft? A spell is generally defined as a word or phrase supposed to have magic power, such as a charm or incantation. To most witches, it is any magical operation and may or may not involve words. Simply imagining a desired outcome could almost be considered a spell. If you intentionally put additional energy into that image, it will definitely be one. The other day, I was talking with a friend about shadow and our conversation was pretty much about psychology, and I was talking how sometimes we have to work in our shadow. And this friend told me, yes, sometimes we have to work on the part of us that is bad. And then I understand that most people, when they hear the word shadow, they immediately think of the negative connotation of shadow. Although when we talk about shadow in witchcraft and Wiccan religion, we're talking about our own work, the things that we have to change to make ourselves better. So necessarily, it doesn't include a negative outcome. Let me explain. Yes, as a large part of the year is filled by the darkness of winter, an important part of our magic is shadow work. Exploring those areas in our own hearts and minds that are difficult, painful, and largely unknown and hidden by shadow. As a counselor, I always recommend that when you do shadow work, you journal. Make sure that you write everything in your journal, because the subconscious is extremely strong and will only understand and heal you inside and out if you're writing in your journal and let those thoughts out somehow. To understand what we mean by shadow work, you first need to understand the witch's attitude towards light and darkness. To us, there are two essential polarities that balance each other in the universe: night and day, light and shadow, winter and summer. Each is part of the natural pattern. A world with only light or only darkness will be unbalanced and lifeless. Note that we don't assign moral values to these polarities. In mainstream Western thinking, it's common to speak of light as good and darkness as evil. The knight is shining armor glitters in the sunlight, while the nasty dragon lurks in the dark cave. The cowboy hero wears a white hat, the villain wears a black one. The Star Wars Jedi wear white tunics, the evil Darth Vader wears black, and so on. To a witch, night and darkness are not associated with evil. They are simply one side of reality, as necessary and right as day and sunlight. They are opposites, but no moral opposites. We understand that good things can happen in the darkness, from the dark, and sometimes bad things can happen in the light. So shadow work is not about black magic or anything harmful. In shadow work, we confront those uncomfortable parts of ourselves that are usually hidden in the subconscious. They reveal their presence in our feelings. When we experience fear, anger, hatred, shame, guilt, grief, or even irritation or embarrassment, we can be sure that a shadow issue has been triggered. Shadow issues also manifest in negative attitudes, such as self-loathing, prejudice and bigotry, pessimism, and even indifference. They reveal also in harmful behaviors, such as addictions and other self-destructive acts, sloth, mindless conformity, discrimination, recklessness, and violence. Unresolved shadow issues also frequently lead to emotional, mental, and physical illnesses. All of these things stunt our potential. They limit our ability to be creative and healing individuals. They not only prevent us from being positive forces in the world, but also can cause us to harm others, and even those that we care deeply. As witches, we face our shadow sides and work to understand their sources and roots. This is a huge contrast with those who only want to ignore, avoid, or escape anything within the shadow. We are dealing with the same issues that one encounters in counseling or psychotherapy. Shadow work is not comfortable or quickly done, but those who will not shine a light into the shadowy recesses of their own hearts are destined to be controlled by whatever lurks there unseen. Doing shadow work requires 3 steps. The first step: we admit and take responsibility for our negative emotions, attitudes, and behaviors. 2. We choose not to stop them, avoid them, ignore them, blame them on others, right away from them, or let them control our behavior. And 3. We work with them until we understand their sources and can bring them into the light and release them, or transform them into something positive. There are some deities that can work with you to understand shadow issues: Persephone, Inanna, Rhiannon, Zerinthum, and Hecate. Also, you can work in the shadow world with other people or elders who understand shadow issues. So an elder witch who has worked through these issues can be helpful. Your common sisters and brothers. A counselor. After all, most of the behaviors you might question will have an unspiritual side to them. An NLP practitioner won't necessarily need to know your issue, but the behavior or thought you need to change. And don't neglect the many good books that are available in many different aspects of self-help. I see you in the next module, and I hope you're enjoying the course so far. You know, if it's time for you to do shadow work, remember, winter is coming. Knit faster.